Hello and welcome once again to Crazy Comics and Stories. It's me, your charming and delightful old Uncle Rat Bastard. And at the other end of the series of tubes and wires we call the internets is Joe Crazy Rider. How you doing today, Joe?
I'm doing pretty good. Wife and I got away for a couple days, went up north. There was a study online a ways back saying that in order to kind of rejuvenate yourself, you got to get out and enjoy nature. You know, we were up north. It was weird because some friends of us, they went up before us and they went through a snowstorm. So when they got there, they were like happy they got to this cabin. We came up the next day and everything had melted. We had no problems. Walked out on a lake, kind of wandered around. More importantly, my wife picked me up at 4 o'clock on Saturday. We got up there at 6:30, cracked open my first drink, finished about 2 a.m. I was feeling good.
Aren't you a little old for that, Joe?
Not my dad's root beer, some hard cider.
Did you just say root beer?
Yes.
Yep, not my father's root beer.
Wait a minute. It took you that long to finish a drink?
No, you're talking many drinks.
Okay, that's very
different. He might have drank a whole 6-pack.
Oh my gosh, he might have consumed 2 alcoholic beverages.
5.
I should talk. I can actually count. I have had 4 alcoholic beverages since October of 2010.
I'm a featherweight and I can still drink both of you fuckers under the table.
The next day...
Yeah, well, I'm a cheap date.
Oh, so am I. But the next day I didn't feel like drinking, but we went up to Duluth for a day and just kind of putzed around out there. On the way back, just meandered. You know, you could do the easy thing, take 35 east straight south in 2 hours, be home. But we took like an 8-hour cruise through the backwoods of Minnesota, found a really neat cafe, had lunch, and then headed home. So it was kind of relaxing. I got home and I was like, I don't want to turn on my computer. But I know I'm going to have to because I got eBay sales. And I don't want to look at the news because nothing happened while I was gone and it was all good. And it was hellish to get back. I need to get away more often.
Also joining us on the podcast is the lovely and talented Jen Wicked.
Hello.
Who's been painting away.
Yeah, I guess.
And what have you been up to other than painting rats?
Not much. I just...
Do they like it? Do they hold still when you paint?
You know, rats don't really squeak that much. They mostly squeak to each other. So, they're pretty quiet.
Is it easier to paint the white rats, or do you get, like, multicolored ones and just go from there?
The white ones, definitely.
Yeah.
You can paint them with concentrated Kool-Aid. There's some other kind of safe, non-toxic dyes you can use to color them a variety of cheerful rainbow colors.
Will they lick it off them?
Well, you'll want to...
Or does it just wear off?
It would wear off naturally, I guess, but, you know, you wouldn't want to leave it on there, like, you would want to hold on to them to make sure they did not eat it until it is set and dried or rinsed out or whatever you're using.
Well, and you said last week that you had a mouse who was getting in the way of your cooking. Have you dispatched the mouse?
No, we have not. He or she is still terrorizing my kitchen, but the joke is on him. I am no longer keeping any food in there, so...
All of the food is now hidden somewhere.
All of the food is in the refrigerator or in the metal bread box, which fortunately the mouse cannot open yet, or in plastic containers on my pantry shelf. So there is nothing for the mouse to eat. I believe it is in my apartment because the neighbors all have cats and dogs, so it's figured out that this is a safe place, but not for long. It'll be very hungry.
And then it will go to somewhere else and become food.
No, I'm probably going to cave and get some snap traps, which I hate, but, you know, I've seen plenty of dead rodents, so I'm not too squeamish. But, yeah, it's, you know, I don't know. He's running around on the countertops and on the stove, I know, so got to get him out of there.
Well, none of this has anything to do with comics.
No, it doesn't.
But this
You didn't give me a
will.
book to read this week. I can't pretend to know what I'm talking about.
Oh, this will be interesting because I refuse to read the book he gave us this week.
Why?
Next week, we will be reading The Wicked and the Divine, Volume 3.
No, we won't.
Why not?
Because I won't read it till I read Volume 1 and 2. But I'll talk about it next week.
Okay. But Joe actually met with someone earlier today, and I am going to pump Joe for information. Joe, you met with one of the 3 heads of the MSP Comic Con earlier today, Big Mike, and you had lunch, which you alluded to last week.
Yep.
See, I'm following up on things.
And we didn't always talk about the MSP Comic Con 2016, May 14th and 15th, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Saturday.
I was waiting for that.
10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Sunday at the Minnesota State Grandstand. Although advance tickets are on sale at www.mcbacomiccons.com. And if you go there, they have a wonderful list of everybody that's going, including our own lovely and talented Jin Wicked, who...
Bring cash.
Who?
As Mike pointed out, all 3 cards they sent to you came back. So whatever address you gave them was not correct.
Yeah, I don't know. I
however,
contacted
guaranteed
them.
to be there.
Yes.
I said one way or another, because if you didn't, Cory and I would sneak you in. Although I'd question how the heck we'd sneak you anywhere. Oh, well, we'll figure that out later. So, but yeah, we basically just talked, reiterated things. They've got a couple things coming up. And I think one of them...
Oops.
Hang on a second. Let me see if I can find their... the Midwest Comic Book MCBA page on Facebook, because they're doing their annual spring ticket stuffing soiree, which will be March 19th, which I believe will be a
Saturday.
Yeah, after this here thing drops. It's going to be at the Maplewood Library, which is west of Maplewood Mall. It's 3025 South Lawn Drive. They're going to go from 10 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. in the library's boardroom. This is the big part of their PR marketing push. It's a great way to engage the community. They'll have comp tickets they'll be stuffing, sending them to youth centers, libraries, places like that. They, let's see what they got: tickets, letters, flyers. They're going to stuff them in envelopes, seal, stamp, label. The only excitement, well, it will stop once the stamps run out. They will have a Caribou coffee there. They also say the library does not allow your own food or drinks in, so don't try to smuggle anything in. But if you are free, stop by and talk to the boys there. Of course, anytime they do things on Saturday, I'm at work, so I can't go. So that's pretty cool. Most of the time, it was just Mike and I just catching up, see what's going on. No real good gossip other than what's up on the site. And, of course, I did kind of chide him a bit because, you know, we used to be the sole benefactor of the MCBA's generosity in terms of podcasting. Although I did hear who are the guys, I'm going to say it wrong, Podcasts and a Pizza?
Panels and Pizza.
Thank you. They're going to be there up on the second floor with pizza. So they're going to be two podcasts there.
I will be talking to them on the 20th of this month. I don't know when it's actually going to be up. But you guys need to step up your game. There's other podcasts wanting to talk to me.
We talk to you every week. What more would you like?
I don't know if we will worry about that after watching you on...
Definitely not pizza.
After watching you on YouTube, that was the second time I laughed out loud at my work. Now, I gotta kind of tell you, we got this new workroom, and unlike the older ones, the belts that move the baggage only engage when a bag's there, so you don't have a constant hum of engines in the background. It's fairly quiet, fairly serene. So everybody's listening to podcasts as we're waiting for luggage to come through, and of course, here I am watching Jin on her YouTube channel,
Which one were you watching? Yeah.
I think it had something to do with the ink that flows in your hand and how sturdy your hand is.
You don't remember anything I said, do you? You were staring at my boobs.
Oh, damn straight I was. But when you started talking, I was laughing, and it was freaking hilarious.
You know, that one was actually one of the shortest, like the shorter the video, and I tried to memorize this, and I had to do so many takes because I actually memorized the script for that one rather than trying to read it off the screen like I did in the first video.
Oh, it was pretty good. Drop what your name is on YouTube now, because it is hilarious.
It's just youtube.com/JinWicked, or you can just search JinWicked on YouTube, and I'm sure it'll show up, and if it doesn't, I'm going to be slightly concerned. But I also link all the new videos off of Facebook and Twitter and all that. So
that's actually got me kind of revved up, because I may start my own YouTube channel. But the things I'm looking to put on, Cory and I talked over the multi-years we've done this podcast, so some of the things we were involved with. It was like a cable access show we were on. We had commercials for Hot Comics and things like that. And I've got it all on VHS tape. And I discovered, again through my tech-savvy daughter, that there's a device I can get off eBay, and I forget what the name of it is, that allows you to hook your VCR directly into your computer and record it, just like I do the old cassette tapes, or like I would a record album or something like that. So what a wonderful age we're doing. I figure get all these things archived so people can look at them, and things we've talked about in the past, people can actually see.
Whoa. You mean this could be the return of Extreme Championship collecting?
It could be. Right now it exists in tapes, and unlike Mr. Gagne of Vern, I did not re-record over all of them.
You mean you may have somewhere in your archive the video that made me one of the most hated men in the Twin Cities?
Yes.
I believe Joe has anything in his basement. I mean,
speaking of archives,
you find the Ark of the Covenant in there somewhere.
What? Before you start beating me up,
I got some.
You should tell the story about how I became the most hated man in the Twin Cities with comics.
Go for it.
We did an episode where Joe didn't have anything to talk about, so he said, Cory, why don't you review some comics?
This is your public access show?
Yes. So I decided that I would just grab the worst comics on the stands and review them. And after I would get done verbally tearing them apart, I visually tore them apart and threw them at the camera. Until I got to the X-Men. And I said, look, nothing I could say can make you stop reading the X-Men. It's terrible. It makes no sense. What you need to do is set it down and walk away.
And the cameraman caught it. He pulled back.
Walk away. And that's what I did. I sat it down and I walked away, and that's how I ended the segment. And I thought, now, tell me, guys, is that a good way to end the segment?
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Oh, my God, they hated me for not tearing up the X-Men comic.
For not tearing it up?
Not tearing it up, yeah.
Why didn't you tear up the X-Men? You must like the X-Men. You're such a pansy. It's like, oh, come on. You missed the point.
Oh, that was fun. So you'll see some of this weird stuff that we'll do. I know the show is called Collecting Stuff with Butz and Whitz. Mike Butler was the producer of the show. And what had happened is...
With Butts and Whips?
Yeah, Butz and Whitz. Like in...
Wits.
Very witty, yeah.
Oh.
Butts and Whips?
Whips.
Hang on, I gotta write that down. Future...
I am.
Butts and Whitz. Right after dinosaur porn, so we got that covered.
Great, now Joe's going to start another show.
But, so we went on there to... I think originally we were promoting the MCBA Con. It was like we were like a dog pound over there, the way Arsenio Hall did. And so we did that. I started talking with Mike, and I said, you guys do a great job. They covered sports cards. They covered toys. I said, you really don't cover comics that much. Brent kind of talks about it. I said, well, Mike told me a lot of people, they talk big. They don't want to get involved. And I said, well, why don't I come on and do like a comic book minute where I just talk about comics and make it like we did a lot of things that were going on in wrestling world back then. The NWO was the big thing. Hulk Hogan turning bad, and they would burst their way onto the show and take over. So it'd be kind of like, that would be my thing. I would come in, do my 1 minute segment, and then walk away. And that's how I got involved with it. And, we brought Butch, we brought Big Mike, Cory was part of it for a while. And then Cory disappeared. But we kept going on, and eventually...
Cory's job got in the way.
Yeah, because...
What a shock.
What they would do is on a Tuesday night, they would rent the cable access place and run 2 episodes. And, if you weren't free that night, it got kind of tough to kind of hang in there. But it was kind of fun. We did it for a while, and eventually the guy I worked with, Brent Moore, he turned on me with a cruel chair shot to the head, and then I got to sit with the big guys, and Brent was the bad guy doing the comic book minute, and it was just silly fun. But what I didn't realize is that I forgot to tell you the best part, Jen.
Huh.
I wore a Spider-Man mask over my face. So nobody knew who I was, which was kind of funny because I'd be walking with one of the guys who was on the show. His name was Brent Moore. He had a shop called Comic Archives, and he did all the toys and stuff. We'd be walking through the Mall of America, and people were like, "Hey, Brent, caught your show last week. Really funny." He'd be, "Yeah, thanks." Or, we'd be in the toy shops, and people would stop and talk with him. But nobody talked to me because nobody, knew what I looked like. At least until the unveiling at the very last episode.
Except there was a point where someone got a Spider-Man ski mask and nailed it to your back door with a note that said, "I know."
That was my mask. And there was one kid who eventually recognized, "Hey, I know you. You're that guy on Butz and Whitz."
Well, everybody would recognize your voice now.
Yeah, that was the thing. It was kind of funny that he recognized it. I think he said the only reason he would is because I was hanging with Brent at the time. I mean, you think, well, who else would be hanging with him? But it was a lot of fun. Now, Cory, let me ask you. When I get these things and I do it, should I just put up those segments or should I put up the entire show?
I don't know. You would have to ask the creators of the show if you have the rights to do it.
Considering I was on it, I don't think they would care.
Well, it's still good to ask.
Did you
now,
sign
what I was
papers with lots of tiny words on them?
No, because it was mostly a volunteer thing. Mike said basically 100% of the show was him doing it. And a lot of it was because he did sign a piece of paper. He was personally responsible for everything in the cable access booth. If anything broke, be it a stage light or the camera or whatever, he had to pay for it. Therefore, he was the one getting up doing the lights. He was the one getting the tape ready. His wife would actually run the control board, make sure everything was segged in and out. And it was done in real time. It was interesting because we couldn't talk about the value of stuff. We couldn't say, well, this is worth this or buy this for $4.99 because that was against the cable access rules. We were not supposed to be commercial type sales. So while we could talk about collectability, we couldn't talk about prices. That was how I got in trouble the first show. What they did, instead of running commercials, they ran PSAs in between the segments. So it'd be like, here's a 8-minute segment and a 30-second PSA while we set up the next thing. And then I got my name involved with it because it was like donation by Hot Comics, St. Paul, Comic Archives. Towards the end, the Source Comics and Games got involved. And that's how we got our bling, I guess, because we couldn't advertise an actual ad, but we could because we sponsored the show by giving them money to pay for it. It was a little different than actual cable access where you just walk in and you do your show, and if cable, they put it on. It was a Channel 6 Metro access, which I have no idea if it exists.
Yes, it still does.
Done specifically for that. So it was funny because the person after us would do horoscopes and wind chimes and whatever, and
they didn't appreciate me much.
No, not particularly. So I'll send a quick note to Mike because I know I got him on Facebook, and like I said, if I can find him and get him stored, if he minds me I can put up the whole show. Well, again, if he says okay, the shows were only a half hour. My segment was a minute, because I figured I'd just put up my segments, but towards the end, when we got more involved. For a while, he let me run the camera. That was kind of fun.
Now, the question I have, because I honestly don't remember, did you ever plug the shop, or were you allowed to?
No, because that would be the commercial aspect of it. But at the end, in the credits, it would say, comics courtesy of, or whatever, Hot Comics St. Paul.
What if you were like, oh yeah, I'm totally from that, place where the comics are the opposite of cold.
Okay, I didn't even think of that. And of course, nowadays you got store exclusive comics. I guess, you could say things like, hey, let's pick up this copy of Shrinkage #1, the Hot Comics variant cover, which you'd have to go to Hot Comics, because during the show we would mention things like, well, this is available only at Toys R Us, or this is available only through Diamond Comics and comic stores. So if you could say it like that, you'd be fine. But I couldn't say, all these things are on sale at Hot Comics, come see me. But we got our name plugged at the end, and we actually did have some people come into the shop mentioning that they saw that. And then, of course, when they saw the Spider-Man mask nailed to the wall, they knew who I was.
I was actually a featured collector once.
Featured
I don't
quarter.
know if Joe. I don't know if Joe remembers that, but I was on with my EC collection, and I talked about. I did a real short thing on the history of EC Comics, what they were, what they became, that, they started as this, then there was all of this stuff that they published, and I had all my hardcovers and some of the 80s reprints and some of the 70s reprints, and the originals I had, and some of the Mad collectibles that I used to have. Those I did get rid of eventually because I just wanted to stick to EC.
I do remember that.
But yeah, that was a fun segment. They would have people on who collected specific things. And the one I will always remember is a person who had the cereal box collection, because I hadn't even thought of collecting cereal boxes. And here this guy had boxes from the 60s and 70s, and I'm like, I miss those cereals.
And then most of the collectors didn't necessarily have to be one of the things we talked about, toys, die-casts, comics. They'd have people on that, porcelain figurines. They had, we talked a bit like Joe Linsner's coming to the con. Pat McDonough at the time, I think, owned every Joe Linsner comic published at that time, including some of the one-in-one variants, just really hardcore stuff. So it was always fun. You got kind of an update on what was going on in collectibles, comics, die-casts, baseball cards, and sports cards, and then they'd have somebody who just collected stuff. So it was really kind of a neat segment. And I know Mike said the show went on hiatus, but it never came back, which was too bad. It was actually kind of like I said, it was an actual push for collectibles in the community, whether people went to my shop, Brent's, or somebody else's shop. And I did notice a little ding in sales dropping. That was towards the end of the 90s, where I think sales were dropping anyways, but I'm definitely going to write that down. Talk to Mike, get that on the air. But that's not what I wanted to talk about. I got some old business to deal with, Strode.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Jen, this isn't going to be pretty, because I'm reaching back, way back in the archives before you were a valuable part of our show.
Uh-oh.
Cory, how's that Agents of Atlas series working out for you, huh?
Well, actually, we talked about it a little last week.
And we talked about it on episode number 2.
Yes, I love the series Agents of Atlas. Matter of fact, with the hardcover that reprinted the miniseries is probably one of my favorite modern hardcovers, because it not only has the miniseries, but it has the first appearance of all the characters from the 50s. Because Agents of Atlas was a series at Marvel that was kind of all of their 50s superheroes collected into a modern story. And the writer, Jeff Parker, is writing the Hanna-Barbera reboot at DC now. And if you remember last week, I mentioned that. And that I'm buying it because of him.
How did the series turn out?
It did not sell very well.
So you were busy pushing series that you knew were going to fail.
it had a lot against it, sure, but
No,
I don't care.
Excuses.
Joe, I push series I enjoy,
Because
not series that I'm going to think are going to be
we also
successful.
talked about Brightest Day, and we all know how that turned out.
Yeah, that was kind of a mess.
And I will get around to reading those Spider-Man one of these days.
Spider-Man!
I gotta say, I was pleased.
That's really all I'm here for.
What I really, oh yeah,
Hey, somebody
Oh,
said in
no,
the comments,
sorry.
boy, I love it when Jin yells, Spider-Man!
or
Batman! Catwoman! Batgirl! I don't know
I
any
do
other
gotta say-
characters.
When I went to go back, what I love is when a random issue pops up in Facebook's memory thing. And I've just been posting them on my Facebook feed. And then I will download them and listen to them at work. Because usually later on at night, we have to stay till the final flight's gone, but there's really nothing going on. So it's a perfect time to just sit back, listen to it. I do got to say, we do sound pretty good. It's not painful like trying to watch the first season of Star Trek Next Generation. We still got that enthusiasm going. And it's fun because we're still kind of working the kinks out. I mean, I've even talked to Cory way back at episode 2. We didn't do freaking and geeking. Matter of fact, when we first started, it was geeking and freaking, and then we decided, well, we don't want to end up.
Well, that's just silly.
And then it just cut off. I don't know what happened. It was just like Cory's talking. Else
the call dropped.
Yeah, and
the call dropped, and it was I don't know if we had closing music yet.
I have no idea because, like I said, I'm just picking them up as they pop up.
Because when Butch went back and listened to the old ones, he said, "Yeah, you got some where the sound is really bad, or you got this, but by like episode 10 or 11, you were doing okay." And really, for podcasting, there are some that the first year are unlistenable. I'm glad we worked out our kinks pretty quickly.
Well, that's all kudos to you.
Nah.
I would not. I was really along for the ride. I think the biggest thing I did for this podcast was buy me one of them Yeti microphones, which I think improved my sound quality, at least on my end.
I think it was not being in Alaska anymore that improved
the
sound.
I haven't even gotten any of those episodes yet. Okay, Cory, I do have to say we did drop the ball when our mascot for this here podcast, he passed away, and we did not even mention him.
And who was that?
Back in episode 35, we named Abe Vigoda the official Crazy Comics and Story mascot. And you, of course, you jumped on me and said, well, what about Charles Nelson Riley? But at the time, we elevated him to patron god. Now, the question we have from that episode that people still want to know to this day, Cory,
yes.
Do you still have your little Final Fantasy figures that you haul around from job to job on your desk?
Yes.
Because you also talked about a Dark Knight statue and a Tribble.
Yes, the Dark Knight statue that when I was a supervisor at a place that shall not be named, I call it the job from hell. It was the worst experience I've had at a job, and to this day I still think it's what put me in the hospital back in 2011. But I had my Dark Knight statue, which I got. I was supposed to get it for buying the Absolute Dark Knight.
Yeah, and I don't think we ever did get them, did we?
Nope, Diamond did not ship them, but they must have shipped them all to this place called Tales of Wonder because they had them for $100. Now, normally these statues went for $300. And I was like, I want this statue. It's a beautiful statue. I'm not a statue guy. I've got like one or two. I just keep them in their boxes. But the Dark Knight, it's like, okay, I'm a supervisor now. I have an office and everything. So I brought the statue to work, and we hired this woman. And we hired her. She was upset that she wasn't getting paid as much as the people who were on the phones. She wasn't a phone person. We actually gave her $1 more than the job entailed, but she was mad all the time. She was always causing trouble. She had personality conflicts with people.
I work there?
You are fine at work. There was a time when she was asking for time off during a period where time off was blocked. And she was told when she was hired, you can't have time off during this period because this is our busy period. And she put in for the time off, and I said, I'm sorry, we can't afford the time off. This is our busy period, et cetera, et cetera. And the next day I came in, and my Dark Knight statue was in pieces.
Oh.
With a note from the janitor saying, we found this on the floor. I was never able to prove she did it.
But she totally did it.
Oh, no.
But she did it.
She's accused.
She did it the day after I said that I said, no, we can't give you the time off. And she was later caught messing with other people's personal belongings if they did something that made her upset.
Was she also eating their sandwiches from the refrigerator?
No, she would take the pictures of their children and tear them up.
Okay, that's worse than eating sandwiches.
Yeah,
this woman was psychotic. So I do not have the Dark Knight statue anymore.
If Cory does something to piss you off, dear listeners, give me a call. I'll bring you over to Cory's house. You can smash something of his on the floor and we'll leave.
If you do that, I'm not going to have anything.
Well, I got some of your stuff back here. It's safe. Okay, to finish up this old business, I got...
Wait, the little Final Fantasy 7? I still have those, and you can tell when I no longer give a shit about the job I'm at, because I take them home.
Ah. So right now they're at home.
Damn right they're at home.
Is the Tribble still around, or did it finally evaporate?
Nope, the Tribble's still around. The cat loved it.
Now the
Fidget loved it and would actually sleep with the Tribble.
The final two questions of old business here, because you see, I'm on top of this.
We're not going to get to the topic at all.
No,
we have a topic?
Cory?
Yeah, I always have a topic.
I don't have a topic.
The one comic series that I said I had to read Deathmate in order to forget the taste out of my mouth.
He's gonna puke. He's gonna puke.
Oh, excuse me.
That's really old.
Not as old as Oprah on a baked ham. What was the one comic series that I said I had to read Deathmate in order to get the taste out of my mouth?
I do not remember.
It was DC versus Marvel.
Oh.
We were skewering that, just, talking about, the big fight with Batman, Captain America. They've been fighting for hours. Wolverine jumps behind the bar, beats down Lobo. Lobo
who can beat up Superman.
Spider clones. Yes, it was not. We were not kind to that series, and as you probably tell, if you read it now, it would not hold up very well.
I actually put it on my tablet to read a few months ago, and the worst thing about it is it looks horrible. The coloring is just terrible. It's in your face. It's during the early days of computer coloring. And remember when you probably had a job where you finally got a computer, and the person who made the newsletter decided they wanted to use every trick in Word, so they're changing fonts all the time and putting in all the wingdings and.
Oh, the time my mother-in-law learned how to use HTML in email.
Yes.
Ooh, sparkle gifts.
Or the time I learned how to use sound bites in a podcast.
Or MySpace. Everybody using Blingy in MySpace. This was the comic book equivalent of that. Oh, it was just garish and awful. And I don't even know if the art was any good because it's like, I can't, the colors.
All the art on MySpace is pretty awful.
Yeah. And, of course, the last question is actually more of a comment that you had made during one of their podcasts. Had Hillary Clinton won, you wouldn't have to update anything. And, of course, you were talking about Weekly World News back then.
Oh.
I just thought I had to laugh again. Third time I laughed in my job. They think I'm nuts. But I just told them that my mind is a raging torrent, flooded with rivulets of thoughts, cascading into a waterfall of creative alternatives.
My friend just likes to make videos on YouTube telling jokes with her tits hanging out.
God.
Hey, that's a good review.
That is an excellent review. I will approve that comment.
And they were excellent tatas, too.
I try.
You succeed. Kat Roca wrote us something.
Cool. She got her address? Can I send her something out of my vast accumulation of stuff?
Dude, I've been watching her stuff. She's pretty cool.
She's the editor at 01 Publishing, the people who gave us Case File Arkham and World War Kaiju.
That was a good comic.
And they publish good stuff. Kat wrote, listening to your February 28th show, and I have a framing horror story for Jin and the rest of you guys.
All right.
My grandmother would use wallpaper as matting for her original watercolors she purchased because it was cheap. Several $100 artwork matted with wallpaper.
Oh, my God.
Jin, why is that a nightmare?
I don't know. Did you go to the Sherwin-Williams and when you were flipping through the little book full of samples, ask if they were acid-free? I mean, I've seen so much shit. I should probably sit down and make a list and talk about it someday or write about it before I get too old to remember. But yeah, that's pretty awful. I mean, I don't even know how you would do that. I guess you would just... Wallpaper's pretty thick, right? It's been a long time since I used wallpaper.
Yes, it's amazing.
You like cut a little hole in it. I mean, yeah, okay. I've seen worse. So I'll share something. When you're working in the frame shop, you see a lot of strange shit. Like people bring in strange things that, like making mats out of wallpaper, they've kind of come up with their own creative solutions to avoid, spending money with me. And one of the things you really see commonly is when you buy a large picture, they'll have 2 rings on the back to hang it. And whenever you get a picture with 2 rings facing up, whoever put the hardware on that frame meant for you to hang it on 2 nails or 2 picture hangers. This is usually because the picture is very large and or heavy. So either a wire would snap, the frame can't support the stress a wire puts on the frame, or it's too heavy, it just needs to be hung onto, or like I have a large picture hung that way because with a very large picture, wire also makes it tip out from the wall if you don't do it just right. But people don't like to do that because then you have to measure and make sure the 2 hangers are in the same place, the right distance apart and drop from the ceiling. So you see a lot of creative things strapped between these, they're called D-rings, to avoid purchasing wire, because that would be extra money also. So I've seen shoelaces, lanyards, chain, stuff I'm sure I can't remember now. These are usually brought to me because it fell off the wall and broke, by the way. So my favorite one that I've seen was a telephone cord. It was the cord that you use to not the curly cord that connects the handset to the body of the phone, but the cord that connects the phone to the wall. So for those who have never used a landline phone, it is the cable you would use to plug in the modem of your computer. And for those of you who have never used a modem, it's an old cable that is obsolete and no one needs anymore. And perfectly appropriate, apparently, for using as a wire on the back of your picture frame. Not only did they use it, but they left the little clips on the ends for plugging into the ports. And they didn't even cut the cord shorter. So there was like a stretch of a cord probably, I don't know, maybe 2 feet long at the most, wiring the back of this large picture, and then like a wad of the remaining cord was just curled up and and tied with like a twisty or a rubber band. I don't remember. So I ask, when I meet other framers, I always ask, what's the strangest thing you ever saw someone use to hang a picture? And nobody so far has been able to top my telephone cord. Shoelaces is really, really, really common, by the way. I've seen a lot of shoelaces in my day. So, yeah.
Obviously, people who don't understand that shoelaces break.
If you enjoy the framing stories, send Cory email, and I will try to have an entertaining framing story for you occasionally, because I worked in the industry for a very long time, and I have a lot of stories. It's just a matter of me remembering them, not on the spot.
Another comment we have is from our fire-breathing Twitter machine.
Woo.
Cash Flag, who often retweets us and has purchased things from our sponsors, mentioned that he bought stuff from sponsors, and I told him I have been buying stuff from Dollar Shave Club for years. I use all of the stuff we run ads for, even Jen Wicked's art, and she can attest to that. I have purchased art from her repeatedly.
That name looks familiar. I know I've seen him on Twitter, but I'm not sure the real name connected to it.
He is an old friend from the website Barbalith of mine, so I've known him for quite a while. His response to that was, and I quote, "Yeah, but don't you just give her booze or threaten to make her read a comic in order to get the art?" Jen, is that what I do, or do I give you cash money?
Wait, what?
His response when I said, I buy stuff from all the sponsors, even Jen Wicked's
you
art.
do.
Yes.
Oh, I thought this guy bought art from me.
No, he has not yet.
Why not?
That's right, Cash.
Your name is
Rebus.
Cash. You have no excuse.
Mr. Rebus, if that is your real name.
Okay, Cory is a goody two-shoes motherfucker. Okay? No, he doesn't just hand over cash, except on Christmas and my birthday.
I don't give you actual cash.
Okay, you mail gift cards and other
Johnny
inappropriate things to put in the mail, which we're not talking about right now. No,
because I've been beat up enough for one day.
He buys me dinner, like, all the fucking time. So it's mostly food. He did give me a bottle of Sailor Jerry, so there's that.
And socks.
Those are excellent socks, by the way. I finally opened them and wore them because I didn't want to do laundry.
And a broom.
What else?
I can't even remember what else
bought
for your apartment.
I don't know. I'm looking around and it's mostly my shit. I don't really see anything that you bought.
But there you go.
Is that it?
That's all the feedback that we have.
Feedbacks. I like replying to those. I know more about feedbacks than comics.
And I don't know. We're 45 minutes in. Do we want to have a topic, or do we want to go to freaking and geeking? Because I've got an extra long freaking that we may discuss.
No, we can just go to freaking and geeking because
it's not the one about Mickey Dolan's birthday, is it?
No,
okay.
I
What's going on with me tonight? Damn.
Well, I can tell you one thing.
What?
There's something going on with these guys, our sponsors.
I walked right into that.
You did, man. You had your eyes wide open.
I'm distracted because I was trying to take a picture.
Believe it or not, kids, this silliness has actual real sponsors. Our first sponsor is Graze.com. Graze gives you healthy snacks sent to your house. You can have them delivered weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, and your first box is free if you use the code CORYS3R5B. Our second sponsor is Bombas. Bombas socks are some of the best socks in the world, and remember, for every pair you buy, they donate a pair to a homeless shelter or other worthy cause. Just go to bombas.gotocloud.org/SF30. That's right, those are our ads. Go check out our sponsors. And as we finish up with the sponsors, our beloved sponsors, who I purchase I've bought every single thing that we advertise.
And you know the best thing about being a sponsor on this here podcast is not only are you helping...
Guaranteed to get at least one sale from Cory.
Well, pretty much. And you defray the costs that Cory incurs getting all of us up. But it will live on in infamy in all the old archive podcasts because we don't go back and change our old sponsors.
Nope, we're not like those TV shows that's doing the digital stuff to take out the sponsor, when they show products. In old shows, they're actually using CGI to take out old ones and put in new ones when they go into syndication. We don't do that.
You know, if you right-click on an image in the Windows file viewer thingy, it has open file location, so you can actually find the file if you don't know where the damn program is saving it.
Yes, that's how I find things.
Well, I just discovered this. And a whole bunch of videos I didn't even know I took.
Uh-oh.
Wow.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no, wow. Carry on.
That could be either trouble or really cool.
It's trouble.
So, Joe, what's going on the eBays?
Still selling old stuff. I sold a couple interesting things today. The Three Stooges meet Hercules, which I believe was a movie, wasn't it? As
Yes.
well as a Dell comic from 1962.
And not one of the better movies.
I'm not sure I'll say this right, because I usually don't. No Need for Tenchi?
No Need for Tenchi. That's an anime.
Yes.
Yep. I actually had...
also known as Tenchi Muyo.
I had a book 1, which apparently is reprints the entirety of part 1. And I have no idea how many parts there were. I have no idea where this came from. This might have come from one of my girls, and they just decided they're not going to read it anymore, which is fine. Cory, do you remember Lady Death number 4?
I remember Lady Death, but no specifics
If I
other
said
than
it was
her
bagged,
boobs bigger than her head.
if I said it was bagged with a Cryptic Writings of Megadeth CD, would that ring a bell?
Oh, yeah, that was when Chaos was really in bed with a lot of bands, to the point where they did a Insane Clown Posse 12-issue miniseries. Each issue had a CD in it, and it was $5.99 an issue, I think.
And this one,
I don't remember buying it because I'm not a Megadeth guy. Sorry.
I didn't either, but I mean, I remember selling a snot load of these because I bought extra copies of it because there was also a series called Cryptic Writings of Megadeth that, again, our store, we sold the heck out of Chaos stuff, and we loved them. And initially we were going to talk about comic book beginnings, but I wanted to ask you, Cory, about a comic book ending, because I sold my Uncanny X-Men number 600, the Art Adams variant cover. And
Art Adams art?
I don't recall if we ever talked about the ending of Uncanny X-Men 600. Was it worth the wait?
No, of course not. Nothing could be. It was 6 months late.
And it didn't even resolve anything. It just kind of...
Whoa, almost knocked over my bottle of vodka.
Uh-oh, you might want to drink more.
I'm like trying to post on Facebook.
I don't even recall. I mean,
Hey, Joe gets to post selfies while we chat. I get to.
Oh.
A couple cleavage shots would be nice. Not you, Strode.
I'm dressed
No
up,
one
man.
wants selfies of me. No one wants selfies of me.
Dude, I am legit wearing pearls right now. I am dressed up. There. Oh,
Well,
you can't
you
even
clean-
see them because my hand's in the way.
You clean up nice.
I know I clean up nice.
Me, on the other hand, you could put me through a car wash for 14 hours and I'm still going to look like this. Matter of fact, there will be no pictures of me for at least the next 3 months. So anyway, Joe, you were saying issue 600 of Uncanny X-Men was basically kind of everybody confronting the Beast for being a dick. Joe?
We lost Joe.
Joe?
Joe tried to take a selfie too and crashed his computer.
Oh, God.
It's funny because it's true.
There we go. He's back online.
Joe, where's your selfie?
I just went to go look at Jin, and then all of a sudden everything went blank.
Did you see my picture?
I'm looking at it now.
There you go.
I mean,
Got my bottle of Stoli. I just almost knocked over and broke.
Oh, the humanity.
I know.
So anyways, buy something from me, Crazy Comics, or actually just Crazy, K-R-Y-Z. eBay, The Toy Peddler, let me know it's you, and I will definitely send you something cool from my vast accumulation of crud. I actually picked up a bunch of stuff. I'll talk about that in Geeking.
Yeah, I guess that means it's time for Freaking and Geeking. Joe, what are you freaking on?
What the hell was that last episode of X-Files?
Cliffhanger.
That wasn't even a cliffhanger.
Yeah, it was.
No, it wasn't. You can call it a cliffhanger, but it was like a Cliff Clavin hanger because it was terrible. I mean, I'm sitting here watching this and I'm like, okay, yeah, eventually it's going to be Scully's blood. She's going to find what's not there because obviously somebody hid it, and she's going to cure everything, and oh man, I mean, really, they should have just left the cliffhanger. Hey, everybody's dying, and Mulder's going to be first, or let the lone gunman pop up and say, "Yeah, we're still around, and you have to follow us if you want Mulder to live." That would have been a cliffhanger. This was just terrible. This just smacked.
If Mulder gets 100 likes and shares, we may let him appear.
He may say. That would have been a cliffhanger.
Mark Zuckerberg, I can't even talk now. Mark Zuckerberg is going to pay for another season of X-Files. There you go.
Actually, it's been quietly renewed because everybody involved has already said, well, we want to continue it, and the person in charge of Fox is, well, we're looking at how we could continue it. The worldwide ratings were Fox's biggest show in a decade. It did okay here, but it did unbelievably well in the rest of the world. It's like, yeah, there's money here. There's money. We're going to make money. So it's not like Chris Carter's doing anything. Come on.
I was kind of disappointed because, first of all, I saw how they were going to solve the big mega crisis, and they could have left it out. But seriously, I mean, it's like watching, what was that dumb, I'm trying to think of that movie about Ebola virus or whatever that was. Who was it? I can't even think of who was in it. Everything was saved by the end of the thing. We found the cure. It doesn't work that way.
Well, you remember that movie that David Duchovny was in that was totally not X-Files, but was exactly like X-Files? What was that movie? It really sucked.
The only one I remember, he did that love one, Return to Me.
No. This is like, it was
a comedy.
Yeah,
of
it was
some kind.
Supposed to be funny. But it was like if X-Files was it's like if X-Files was a shitty 2-hour comedy. I can't remember what it was called. Evolution?
I'm going to the internet.
Well, I am done freaking because that was pretty much the only thing. I was going to freak on it last week, but I figured, you know what, I'll just let it go until people have seen it. I didn't even ask for the spoiler warning because it sucked.
Evolution.
So I was right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was about like some kind of alien thing that evolved really fast, and I don't remember it. It was like not Fox Mulder.
That's how she remembers it.
That's how I'm pretty sure I saw that on a plane. I'm pretty sure even David Duchovny couldn't make me watch that shit. I think I was a captive audience.
So that's what you're freaking on, Joe?
I don't got much.
Okay. And now you pass it to Jin.
No, I'm drinking water today. I got to work. I would love to drink gin on a night tonight, but they're doing drug testing at work. Speaking of work, boy, we're on a downfall at TSA. We've been set up, and now it's time for us to go private. All across the country, it's like the media just all got their marching orders at once. Okay, everybody, TSA has incredibly long lines because Congress cut our funding and they keep cutting the screeners and air traffic's going up. So let's all blame the TSA. Hooray. I mean, you're talking Denver, you're talking Atlanta, you're talking here in Minneapolis. Incredibly long lines, new checkpoints. Oh, everything's bad. What is wrong? Oh. Yep, it's our fault, folks. We got marching orders to slow your ass down. Why do I have to take my laptop out? Oh, I don't know, because someone put a hole in an airplane in Egypt? I don't know. Why do I have to take my shoes off? Ask Richard Reed. I tell you, the populace is getting dumber and dumber. But it's feeding into the narrative now because everybody's calling for us to go private. I will make sure the cutest, best-looking screener gives you your pat down, be it he or she. That's all I'm freaking on. Jim, what are you freaking on?
Dude, I'm really fucking hungry. I haven't eaten since lunch. And I ate lunch at like 11 o'clock.
You see the sacrifices we do for this here podcast?
I got nothing to freak on. That was like the only thing on my mind is that I'm sitting here with my stomach growling. Cory, what are you freaking on? Oh, wait. I didn't want to ask that. You said it was long.
Yeah.
I have been holding this back for a little while.
Okay, I'm going to get a drink.
I'm going to hit the bathroom.
There was a radio show that I used to enjoy back a few years ago, and the person who was the host of the radio show eventually left and has not been on the radio for a while. And about a month and a half ago, I heard this radio host being interviewed on a show that I was listening to, and she is coming back, and she has set up a Kickstarter. And if you go to the Kickstarter, she can afford to buy equipment, she can afford to hire a producer, she can get all of the things she needs to bring her radio show back. And I was excited. I thought, hey, here's a Kickstarter that I am ready to give money to. I am all set to give money to this Kickstarter. I can't wait to give money to this Kickstarter. I go to the Kickstarter. I look at the amount of money that they need, and it seems a little excessive as someone who does a radio show and has the ability to do a live radio show with a shitty computer and a $50 headset and an internet connection. I'm able to do it. She needs $150,000 to do it. Okay, fine. Let's see what the rewards are.
I need $150,000?
If you contribute $5, you will get a thank you email. That's it. $5, a thank you email.
Who are we talking about?
I'm talking about Kickstarter.
Who?
I'm not going to give names as I go through my rant here.
He's not talking about me.
No.
I'll do a thank you email for $1.
That's what I was going to say. For $1, we'll send you a personalized thank you email. But nope, $5 gets you a computer-generated thank you email. Gee, thank you for contributing to the Kickstarter. For $25, they will put your name on the web page, on the thank you web page. You mean for $5, I'm not going to be on the web page, which would take you all of, 5 seconds? Nope, you got to spend $25 for that. And for $50, you get this. Now, she's creating this service where you could subscribe and download and listen to her radio show. It's a podcast, everybody. It's a podcast. If you could download it and listen to it, it's a goddamn podcast. And it'll be a monthly fee of either $6.99 or $9.99. They haven't decided yet. Do you know how much it costs to get a free month of this if you contribute to the Kickstarter? $100.
Is she pretty?
No.
Is she making her goal?
Yes.
Wow.
Because she's well known.
Oh.
$100 to get $6.99 worth of free stuff. Oh, but you also will get the thank you on the webpage and a thank you email. People, when you're going to start a Kickstarter, there are things that will immediately drive me off. And one of them is if the rewards you have are bullshit. $100 for something you're going to be selling after the Kickstarter's done for $7 is bullshit. $25 for a 56-page comic book is bullshit. Over the last few years, here are the things about Kickstarter that have annoyed the shit out of me. 1, not delivering your product. Graphic novel I ordered a couple of years ago. Haven't got it. Haven't got an email in over 2 years saying, we got this, we got this. Nope, nothing. Silence. Now, Cat Roca and 01 Publishing, they will send you an email every couple of weeks. We're working on the art. Here's what the art looks like. We're doing this. We've sent the stuff to the printer. The printer has sent it back. We're packaging it. They follow it along the way.
That's great. That's really important to have that open communication.
You have to let people know when it's, okay, I'm doing this graphic novel, and it's been a year and I haven't heard. It's been 2 years and I haven't heard. I guess I just threw my money away. And if you start another Kickstarter, bite me. There was a wrestling promotion that if you pledged a certain amount of money and paid that certain amount of money, they would send you DVDs of the 26 episodes they were producing. They met their goal. They had the wrestlers. They filmed it. Oh, look, the guy putting it together got a job working on a movie. 5 years now. 5 years now. Money hasn't come back. No DVDs. The wrestlers haven't gotten paid. Video games. There was one video game that I read about recently where the person creating the video game gave excuses for 3 years and then finally said, I'm sorry, I'm not going to create this video game because you people have created so much drama. The drama is that they gave you money 3 years ago and you haven't delivered shit. Constant kickstarting. Kickstarting is supposed to be exactly that. It's a kickstart. It starts your business. If every single thing you do, you're going to go to Kickstarter to get the seed money for, your business model is shit. I'm talking to you, Riff Tracks. I know that you make money off selling your MP3s. I also know that you make really good money off the theatrical runs you do. Where, okay, on this night, we're going to do it in this theater, and we're going to broadcast it to all these theaters. I worked at a movie theater. It sells out months ahead of time. You guys are getting enough money. You don't need to go to Kickstarter. Oh, we want to riff this movie live and have it put in theaters, but we need to create it. Well, then what are you doing with the money you made from all the other ones? That's not what Kickstarter's for.
Blow.
Probably.
Hookers and blackjack. Matter of fact, forget the hookers. I forget the whole thing.
I don't know. The guys are older. It's probably like Viagra and walkers. That's not how you use Kickstarter. Kickstarter's for kickstarting your business. It's not to be your business plan. Crap rewards. I talked about that. People who have access to other funding. I am so tired of people who have TV series, are on tour, etc., who come to Kickstarter because they don't want to bother with spending their own money on their project, or they don't want to go to producers or whatever. Kevin Smith talked about this when he was working on Clerks 3. Somebody said, are you going to go to Kickstarter for it? He said, no. I could go to a movie producer and say, here's my movie, here's my budget, here's what I want to do. He could get funding that way.
You were ranting about that at FallCon with the Archie. Wasn't there like an Archie thing?
Yeah, Archie went to Kickstarter, and the backlash was so brutal that they pulled it. Because, Archie, you're a named publisher.
Even I know that comic.
You don't need to go to Kickstarter. Now, there are people who are doing it right, and one of the people who's doing it right that I want to highlight is Gene Ha. Gene Ha went to Kickstarter for his graphic novel, May. He actually delivered it a little early. It was a beautiful hardcover, and he used that to land a series at Dark Horse. He didn't go back to Kickstarter and go, I'd really like to do this series. Could you guys... No, he used it to kickstart his goddamn business. Joe, anything you get pissed off about Kickstarter on?
Joe's replying to my selfie right now.
Yeah, we're busy.
Yeah.
Unrealistic goal, I don't know, rewards, really. $1, you get a thank you. $500, you get a signed email. I mean, come on. I've had friends, they do Kickstarters, and I keep telling them, you can't just jump to the goal. Every level you should fund, because you never know. You might get 500 people giving you $5. Yeah, sure, you might get one person giving you 1,000. But, the other thing, too, with Kickstarters, once you've done a Kickstarter, be it pay or even just, whatever, sign up for one, whether it's, oh my sweet bejesus, you get tons of emails. Here's Kickstarters we like. You might like this one, yada yada, blah, blah, blah. If it ain't somebody I know or marginally care about, it's probably not going to happen. Or it's what's the competitor of Kickstarter, GoFundMe?
Yeah,
GoFundMe is a little bit different, yeah. Well, Kickstarter's for like a project.
And GoFundMe is just you get it whether you get it or not.
Well, there are three, because GoFundMe is more for, people panhandling for like their honeymoon, or, more legitimately like somebody that needs help with medical treatment. I think you're probably thinking of Indiegogo. So Kickstarter has a thing where if they don't reach their goal, you don't pay. You only pay if they reach their goal. And there's another site called Indiegogo, or there was, I have to check to see if it's still around, where they call it flex funding. So if, I'm trying to raise $5,000 so I can play with plastic dinosaurs on YouTube, you know, and I only raise $3,000, they'll still give me the money. Whereas on Kickstarter, they're like, well, I'm not making my show on YouTube, so, you know, you don't get anything.
Aww.
And the other thing that I want to point out with all of this is Jin turned me on to Patreon. I so much prefer that. And there are a lot of comic creators who are moving there to say, hey, if you join up, you get these things. It's not like Kickstarter where, okay, the rewards are insane. You can look and go, like Steve Lytle, who used to draw Legion of Superheroes, drew a bunch of stuff at Marvel. He's doing a series called Justin Zane. And you subscribe to his Patreon, you get to read the series. Roger McKenzie, who worked on Daredevil with Frank Miller back in the day, he has kind of brought back Carlton Comics. They use Patreon to, hey, you know what? Subscribe to the Patreon. We've got all of these comic stories behind a paywall. We update 3 times a week. If you contribute this much every month, you get all access.
I'm on Patreon.
Yes, Jin is the one who turned me on to it. I give you money for that too. Wait a minute.
Yeah, I guess I was lying earlier. You do give me cash.
Yeah.
What? Jin turns you on?
Well, that's a given.
Oh.
The other thing I am geeking on, not comics related, the World Poker Tour is back, and they've started doing something that makes it so I almost want to turn the sound completely off. Now, I can understand adding music when it's a tense sequence. Okay, this guy has a pair of 10s, and he's been re-raised for $750,000.
That seems like it could quickly veer into unintentional hilarity.
Is he going to call or raise or whatever? Then, you know, maybe have some background music or something. Very subtle in the
The
background.
girl from Ipanema.
But no, through the entire show, they have this going. For the entire hour, even if the people are just sitting at the table, you know, bullshitting. And at first, I was looking around the house because it's not really loud. It's kind of subtle. And it's like, is there something wrong with my fridge? Is the computer acting? Is this some weird sound? And finally, I paused the TV and the sound went away. And it's like, you sons of bitches. And this will be a freaking until they announce it. DC, you've actually told us now that in the next previews, you're not even going to be in it because you're not ready to announce who the creative teams on Rebirth are. Think about that. You've got books coming out in June and July. It's March.
Oh, I feel sorry for whoever's drawing that.
And you haven't even decided who's doing them yet. Way to go. We're so excited. What's Image Publishing? Joe, what are you geeking on?
Well, as long as you asked, a buddy.
Sorry to pull you away from Facebook and you and Jin mocking me.
We're major mockers, I'm telling you.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you want the other half of the show, you need to become friends with Joe and Jin on Facebook and just watch how they make fun of me the entire show. You can tell when we're recording. It's glorious.
It's usually Monday night, but this week it's Tuesday.
A friend of mine from the On the Road days, named Steve Sullivan, got a call from one of his old teachers. And what they're doing, the class is trying to gather postcards from around the world. And the note goes, "Hi, Steve, I need you to ask a favor. My little guy, 2nd grade this year, and his class is doing this year-long postcard project. She's supposed to ask friends and families to send postcards on their vacation to my son at school. Do you think you can participate? You are literally the only friend I have that travels like a madman. And if you can, and I'm going to give the address in a minute, please do." And I was going to throw that out to our listeners. If you would like to send this class a postcard, you know, spend $2 to buy the card and send it. It would be cool. you also just mention Steve's name and mention that you heard it on the podcast, so that way Steve knows who you want. I think it'd be kind of cool, especially if we're getting some of these German listeners, which I keep hearing we're getting a lot of downloads from Germany. And anyways, the address is Connor Tobacco, CO Mrs. Woods class, Mary E. Roberts Elementary, 290 Crescent Avenue, Morristown, New Jersey, 08075. And I'll put it on our Facebook page as well, so that way you don't have to sit there and try to, hear my my wonderful dictation over and over and over and over and over.
It will be in the show notes.
Cool. So check it out.
Good, because I wasn't listening.
Yeah, I wasn't either, and I said it. I picked up out of my last box of comics, which is why I'm not really going to talk a lot about comics this time around, Leonard, My 50-Year Friendship with a Remarkable Man by William Shatner with his co-writer, ghostwriter David Fisher. This is probably William Shatner's, I don't know, what do you call it when a dear friend dies and you feel compelled to do something?
Memoriam?
Obligation?
That's as close as anything. A lot of the stories he shares with us in this book I've heard before. There's two specific things that they run that I didn't. Did that fart come across?
Yeah.
I heard something.
I will start over.
No, don't edit
I've been
that.
speaking out gas real painful. I mean, we're talking, it's fucking painful.
I'm like fucking 5. I always laugh at farts.
Oh, all right.
The height of professionalism here at Crazy Comics and Stories, ladies and gentlemen. When you tune in to something on the Solitaire Rose Network, you know it's going to be classy.
Did you say gassy?
Oh, God.
I'm not even drinking.
All right.
I thought it was like a chair squeaking or something.
Why the hell do I work so hard to come up with funny bits when all we need is Joe passing gas? It's like, there we go, there's our joke for the episode.
Well, it's only funny when you don't expect it.
Why Butch doesn't show up for our podcast anymore. He'd have been sitting right in the blast zone.
Where is Butch?
He is not even answering his phone. Butch.
Butch, we miss you.
Where's Birch? What?
Butch, hold on. I need to be serious. If I could be serious for a moment.
During my geeking?
If Joe can refrain from farting for long enough.
No promises here.
Butch, we all know that I have abandonment issues. When I feel that someone is pulling away from me, I tend to just back away and divest myself.
How do I learn to do that?
You're not answering your phone. You're not answering your emails.
Butch, I'll buy you a hamburger. Come back.
I know why Butch is sad.
Wait, we're not doing freaking.
No, we're not, but I know why Butch is sad.
Why is Butch sad?
Old Country Buffet, the entire company, has gone away. Butch, it will be okay. I can make a meatloaf. I swear to God, I will make you the best meatloaf you've ever had.
Bacon?
Do.
Please, come back. Joe, continue.
The two things about this book, Leonard, William Shatner talking about, of course, Leonard Nimoy, that I didn't know is just his early career pre-Star Trek. Because, I mean, he was a working actor, and Shatner talks a lot about the different things they were doing, the different shows they did, how different coincidences came together to get him the star in the financial.
Oh, God.
What the hell?
Well-being, so he didn't have to eat beans as a staple of his diet. And the other thing, too, towards the end of the book, just the sheer generosity between Leonard and his wife with the different charities that they were involved with. I talked about this when my wife and I went and saw Graceland. We had no idea just how much Elvis was involved. Like most of the people in the entertainment business like this. They just kept it under wraps, and I appreciate Shatner for at least sharing this with us. So the other thing that strikes it, and this is almost like, I don't know, kind of the plea you talked about with Butch. He talks about how Shatner was working on, I think it was called Enterprise, where he interviewed the different captains of the Enterprise, and he wanted to interview Leonard Nimoy about it, and Leonard basically said no, which is odd because technically he had been captaining on an Enterprise, but whatever. And one of the crew filmed Leonard while they were at this convention, and it was included in the Enterprise. And Leonard got very upset about it. And Shatner called to apologize, and whatever Shatner did, Leonard never returned his calls. And eventually Leonard passed away, and so it's kind of one big regret Shatner has, is that he never knew what it was that set Nimoy off, especially since, Nimoy was upset about it. He brought it up. He talks about it earlier in the career. Whenever there was something between the two, they would talk about it. He'd bring it up. And, they flew back from whatever the convention was they're at, and Leonard was perfectly fine. And then all of a sudden he just cut Shatner out of his life, which was very, I guess, hard for Shatner, especially since, Nimoy's gone and he'll never know what it was.
You're not friends with me on Facebook. You're missing some epic...
You are. There's some good shit going on here while I'm trying to be serious. A couple episodes ago,
live commentary on my page.
I poo-pooed Dynamic Forces. Well, they have since coughed up 2 of my 3 orders, which is kind of cool. I got to admit, when I finally did get a hold of someone from customer service, boy, that person should never be allowed to answer the phones again.
Was it me?
No, I'd have recognized your voice. I would have come over and broken one of your statues. But finally, they did, and the only one that I'm missing now is a $20 order from back in September. So we're just going to have a weekly countdown how long it'll take them to fill it. And maybe next month I will call them and ask them where my thing is. Cory, tell me about shrinkage.
Well, Joe, when you get into really cold water...
No, I'm not talking about saltpeter shrinkage. I'm talking about Rob Kuttner's Shrinkage #1.
They made a comic about that?
I know nothing about it.
Yeah.
Well, Seinfeld did an episode about it, so why not?
He
did.
5-time Emmy Award winner for writing on Conan and, of course, on The Daily Show now, did a single comic that was a San Diego comic book exclusive. What if aliens invaded the president's brain? And this was originally released as a digital comic, and they made a first printing available at San Diego Comic Con with an exclusive variant cover drawn by Rob Guillory. And this comic that I got was from the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund's Reward Zone. I got it off their eBay, and it was actually signed by writer and creator Rob Kuttner. Haven't read it yet. I'm not sure if I should wear gloves or not. But soon I will tell you all about shrinkage. And also off the eBay purchase thing, I picked up a book called
joke.
TV Finale.
Great. We're doing fart jokes and penis jokes.
And, well, we could
I was talking about my boobs earlier.
Yeah. Be something worthwhile.
Can we go back to that topic, please?
I know.
Fine. And
the sad thing is your picture of your podcast, you would cover them up. Anyways, off of eBay, I picked up the book TV Finales FAQ. All that's left to know about the endings of your favorite TV show. And it's kind of interesting because it's out of the Applause Theater and Cinema Books, or www.applausebooks.com. It reads sort of like an interview / textbook. The first couple ones I read, of course, were The Fugitive. Then they went on to MASH, and they covered Seinfeld. Right now I'm in the middle of... I finished up Cheers, and I'm in the middle of Friends. And they kind of talk about how the show came to where it was whether or not the finale was worthwhile. And they'll also cover some finales that left us scratching our heads, i.e., I don't know, Roseanne, The Sopranos, things like that. Saying goodbye, looking at shows where main characters have only one choice to move on. The best TV series finales, talking about daytime and late night television. So I picked this up cheap off eBay, and I'm looking forward to it as I read it. And Cory, I got something for you.
Really?
Yeah.
Somebody got something for me?
Well, but more.
Jin's been living here for 7 months now and has yet to make me a pie, by the way. This will become a part of the show.
That means you're never getting the pie.
I know, but I'm going to be pointing it out. It is what I call the pie countdown. Joe, go ahead.
Have you heard of Karma Go?
I know that my car does not go at times, and it makes me sad, but no, I have not heard of Karma Go.
Karma Go is the portable Wi-Fi that the MCBA use to keep themselves online. They're actually going to be streaming the panels. I believe that's what Mike was telling me. They're going to actually try to set it up not only to record them, but also to stream them. So if you can't make it to the MCBA Comic Book 2016 Con, May 14th and 15th, 2016, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Sunday at the Minnesota State Grandstand. You can hopefully look at it online. We'll get more details as it's going. But, Cory, that Karma Go is something you should look up because Mike said it works out really well. You can buy streaming as you need it. So you can pick up. And I know we talked about doing live streaming possibly for our podcast. This might be a way to go because, as we talked off the air, Minnesota State Fairgrounds Wi-Fi is off when the fair is not on. And doing a mobile hotspot could be expensive. And, of course, if you have to wander away, there goes the feed. So check it out. Might be worthwhile picking up. Jin, what are you geeking on? What's got you happy? What's got you more thrilled than making a gorgeous pie and not giving it to Cory?
I walked outside today, and it felt like Texas.
Deep in the
well, not
heart,
really.
Texas.
It did. It was humid as fuck and warm. Oh, my skin is so happy. I have to fucking bathe in moisturizer now. Fuck Minnesota.
Hey.
No, I don't know. Dinner hasn't magically appeared in front of me since you asked me what I was freaking on, so all I got is that it was warm outside today and it felt amazing.
And, of course, the temperature's been dropping ever since.
Yeah, actually it was kind of chilly tonight, but it still felt pretty
We're
good.
having chili? Oh, I love chili.
Joe, you do not need chili. Stop laughing. I'm gonna have to watch the ending of Old Yeller on repeat or something. What are you geeking on?
I want chili.
As some of you may know, one of my favorite shows in the whole wide universe is Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty, which has a lot of the creators from Community, are now working on a cartoon show. And the ratings on it are so good. I actually checked, and the reruns, and some of these episodes have been shown like 4 or 5 times, are getting better ratings than anything else Cartoon Network is showing on Sunday nights. So Cartoon Network has said, hey, you know how you were going to take a year between series of Rick and Morty? Yeah, no, you're not. You're making new episodes now. They are making new episodes of Rick and Morty now, right now. And that makes me very happy. Also, the company and the creators of Community and Rick and Morty, it's called Starburns Industry, and those of you who are Community fans know where that's from, are doing a series on HBO called Animals. And what it is, it's the life of the animals who live in New York City. It is dark and cynical and funny as hell. The episode Friday night was about rats discovering how to create pants.
What?
Yes. It's anthropomorphic.
Anthropomorphic.
Can you say that
They
on
have
a
now
podcast?
Yes, I can. They have now done 2 rat episodes. The first one was really
You're doing this to
dark
try to
and-
make me watch the show, aren't you?
He is.
No, I'm just pointing out that... Have I tried to make you watch Community? No. Have I told you to watch Rick and Morty? No.
Yes, you have.
No, I've said I like
We all
them. I
know
haven't
if
said
we
you
do
will like
something
them.
that Cory's geeking, we feel like we're geeking with him. Our vast listenership will alone make the ratings go up on these 2 shows.
That's probably why
so
Rick and
we
Morty's such a hit.
can geek along with Cory. Cory's new
And
podcast will probably be Geeking Along with Cory.
But Animals, the 5th episode ran. It was really good. It's on Friday nights on HBO. And if you have a friend who will give you their HBO Go password, you can watch it. Comic-wise, I have not read a lot of the newer comics because I did not have a lot of time. And nobody wants to know about that. But I do have this book that Fantagraphics put out a few years ago called Bertie Krigstein Comics. Bertie Krigstein was an artist who worked at Atlas and then EC and then back to Atlas again. And he's one of the kind of, I don't want to say he's completely unknown, but most people who read comics have never seen his stuff because after he worked at Atlas for a while, he got out of comics and went into commercial advertising, which is a goddamn shame because his stuff is so beautifully put together. As I read through his stuff, the page layouts and how he uses panels, he went from, kind of a draftsman to, within 4 or 5 years, he was the most creative layout person at EC. He did some of the most well-known stories at EC, including The Flying Machine, The Key Shop, and it's just, I'm going through it just amazed at how good he was. And it's such a shame that when Warren, Joe, quit farting when I'm talking.
It's not funny anymore.
It's not like I'm enjoying it either.
That's why you laugh.
I
Wish
would
we
laugh,
could hurry
but
up so I
stop
could run
laughing.
outside and get some
Funny
fresh
anymore.
air.
Dude, this entire picture I posted is like taken over by fart jokes and people talking about chili.
God. Bertie Krigstein art. It's a beautiful book. And the last thing is the new season of Lucha Underground has started. I know not everybody's a wrestling fan. The thing I like about this show is, while it is a wrestling show, one, it's only an hour. WWE 3 hours for Raw every week is too goddamn long.
What was that thing we went and saw live? That was like 11 hours.
Ring of Honor. They went 4 hours.
like 11.
Oh my God. It's out on 2 DVDs. But Lucha Underground, it's an hour long. It's actually put together by the creator of Survivor. It's a different way of doing wrestling. At first I was, I don't like Lucha Libre because Lucha Libre, I understand the art form, but it looks very choreographed. It doesn't look like a fight. I want my wrestling to look like 2 guys are beating the shit out of each other.
Nothing I saw at that thing looked like an actual fight, okay?
Well, that's because you didn't pay
It looked
attention.
like oiled up dudes wrestling each other for...
You did, yeah, but you were on your phone the entire time that AJ Styles was
I looked
wrestling.
up enough.
No, you
Yes,
didn't.
I did.
I have pictures of you. That's one of my
Cory's
hobbies.
phone is full of pictures of me on my phone.
Damn right. That's one of my hobbies, and I may even create a Tumblr blog for it.
You better not. You know what? If you screen the pictures with me first, you can go ahead and make ginonherphone.tumblr.com.
There you go. I think I will. But
Picture of me
anyway.
on my phone every day.
Well, I don't get to see you every day.
I bought a new phone. Yeah, but you have lots of pictures.
Yes. I take many pictures of Jen that she goes, you better not fucking show that to anyone.
Put some clothes on.
Posting.
And she says it like that.
I don't even. Even I know this stupid Star Wars joke.
Lucha Underground, it's on El Rey Network. It's on in between when they do the Kung Fu movies. I really like it. Believe it or not, kids, you've wasted an hour and a half of your life listening to Joe.
Explain this shit that he just posted on my picture. It's that frog guy from Star Wars.
What's a crap?
No, it says it's a crap.
Believe it or not, kids, you've listened to us blather on about Joe's intestinal fortitude.
And I don't have any.
He said fortitude.
For the last hour and a half.
Farting horse will never tire. Farting man's the man to hire.
And as we say every week, kids, for the love of God, save me. Joe?
Your village may be different from our people's village, but we're all prisoners. Patrick McGowan. Jin?
Hit my music, boys.